Hi there. Welcome to Bible Slash Chat. Gus, hello.
John, we haven't been together in a long time.
No, Bible Slash Chat in quite some time, actually. It's
over a month, I was thinking.
I blame you, though, actually, to be totally honest.
I like to blame you.
I think this is one of those situations where I think you bear the majority of the blame here.
I can see that, yeah.
I can see that.
But that reminds me of something that happened today.
People to blame?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Speaking of guilt.
Oh, yes, true.
We have a new pope.
We do have a new pope.
You look very excited.
Habemus Papam, or whatever it is. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
Your Latin is getting good.
It's not. It's not good at all. Yeah. You speak a
Latin,
Romance language.
Not Latin.
Yeah, it's a Latin-based language. This should be easy for you.
You speak a Germanic language.
I do. Ich bin... No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. We need Kevin here for anything German. Yeah.
Anyway, so we have a new pope.
He's an American.
He's an American. You're excited, right?
I know. Yeah, I am. I mean, it's very interesting.
Very excited.
I remember. I mean, it's one of those events that doesn't.
You remember when the
often.
Italians used to be? Oh no, the Polish used to be popes.
The Italians, the Poles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, it is a huge event in the world.
Yeah.
Because I mean, over 1 billion people would say that they are Roman Catholic, and so you have a huge number of
1.4
people.
they say.
Yeah, so a huge number of people that are under this guy.
Yeah.
And so obviously, like, his election by the Cardinals, by the College of Cardinals, is a big deal. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in world history, it's a major event.
Yeah, it is.
Leo the 14th.
Leo the 14th. I actually was when we were talking about this, we were thinking about the names, how he's called.
Yeah.
So he's called Pope, right?
Yeah.
He's called the Bishop of Rome. He's called the Vicar of Christ, the Pontiff, the Servant of Servants.
Yeah.
So we want to go through some of these, and maybe I'll ask you what you think.
Yeah.
And sort of talk about the origin. So we hear about the word Pope, and immediately we think of like, okay, someone was in charge, right?
Yeah.
So like when you say like, well, he's sort of like the Pope of Microsoft.
Whatever. Yeah.
He's sort of the CEO, right? Is that what it means?
No. Okay, so this is actually super interesting. A little bit of this, we're going to delve a little bit into church history and look at some of these terms.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. The term Pope actually comes from the Greek word papas, which does not mean potatoes. Yeah, which does not mean potatoes. Papas fritas, fried Pope. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, papas, which means father, and actually, it was used in the early church for all the bishops.
Yeah.
They would just call them father.
Yeah.
Which was not a term of status.
Yeah.
It was a term of affection, because the people were affectionate with their leaders, and so early church, prior to the Edict of Milan, prior to Christianity being embraced by the Roman Catholic Church, by the Roman Empire, you have people who are bishops who are essentially like caregivers for local congregations, and so they called them Pope, Papas, Father. Yeah. But that position then now has been anglicized, has been brought into English, and then has been lifted in the church away from bishops, which still priests are often called father, but that's been lifted out of that role into this one guy. So it's been vested with this one guy. So he considers himself, and he is considered the father of the whole church. He's the head of the whole church.
Amazingly enough, it was Leo the First who called himself
Pope initially.
Pope eventually from everyone.
Yeah.
So the Bishop of Rome being the Pope of everyone, and then Gregory the Great being the one who was just saying, well, it does carry more weight than anyone else.
Yeah, he picks up. Gregory the Great is the guy who really, like, 6th century, mid-6th century, he's really the guy who consolidates power in Rome, pulls power out of the other bishops, and consolidates power in Rome. And then he starts to take on these names. Like, I'm the father of the church. So he's the first guy to do that.
So we understand where Pope comes from because he did such a good job. How about this idea of the Vicar of Christ?
Yeah.
So the word vicar means, like, representative, right?
Yeah.
So is he a representative?
Or stand-in, yeah. So this is actually really interesting. So this is where we would start to get into some stuff that's pretty heretical, to be totally honest, with the Catholic Church. So as the Vicar of Christ, the Pope takes on the role of Christ's personal representative on earth. So Christ is in heaven, and so what the Roman Catholic Church would say is that the Pope is now the personal embodied representative of the person of Christ on the earth. So in that sense, when they say Christ is the head of the church, The Pope is the head of the church because he's the personal
Yeah.
representative of Christ on earth. So
Yeah.
vicar in that sense is actually not just like the way that the English would use the term vicar, but that idea of Christological authority over the church on the earth.
Yeah.
Which is why when he carries a lot of weight, he actually speaks with authority in everything. So when he speaks from the chair, he speaks ex cathedra. The church actually believes that he's speaking divinely without error when he speaks.
Yeah. I actually was thinking. Anyway, I was thinking about something to say. That's why I smiled.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine.
But I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm not going to derail you.
Self-control is fantastic.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
That's why I smile, and I didn't
yeah.
want you to think I was smiling at you.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was smiling about something that I joked that I could have said.
Yeah, but are not going to.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
good. Perfect.
That's good, right?
It's self-control. Yeah. So
I'll tell you off camera.
That's perfect. So when a guy comes out and says, "I'm the personal representative of Jesus on the planet," that's problematic for all sorts of reasons, right? There's no place where that happens in the Bible. There's no one who's ever called the vicar of Christ in the Bible. None of this is there. And I want to do we'll do another Bible Slash chat on the Petrine succession, like the succession from Peter. But none of this is biblical whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's just taking on a specific role there.
So another name is the Supreme Pontiff, or the Pontifex Maximus. So we understand this idea especially from history, right? That the emperor was supposed to be this bridge between. So he was a god, but he was a bridge between the people and the gods.
The gods, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is something that was added, right, and sort of like assimilated into Christianity, right?
Yeah, totally. So that idea of pontifex, that word. That word is just a priest. And the first guy who took on this role, who took on this name, is Julius Caesar. And he called himself the Pontifex Maximus. And then he called himself that for a period of time. He gives back he's killed by Brutus. Augustus, Octavian, becomes the Caesar, and in that role as Caesar, he then really puts a fire under the cult of deification of the emperors. So he calls himself this position. He says, "I'm the Pontifex Maximus." Totally pagan, not Christian in any way. It just means chief priest. But as the chief priest of the Roman Empire, then now you have the Christians coming in, right? After the rise of the empire in the first century, Christianity starts to grow. By the time the Edict of Milan in 312, there's 6 million Christians. What do you do with 6 million Christians in a population of maybe 40 million? Constantine comes in and he says, well, look, here's what we're going to do. The bishop in Rome, he's got a lot of power. We're going to call him the Pontifex Maximus. So they're taking pagan ideas and mixing them with Christian ideas. And so this title is actually, literally, the title is chief priest. And there's a lot of that actually, there's a lot of symbolism in the Catholic Church that goes back to the Old Testament. So there's an altar, the priest carries out the Mass. It's a bloodless sacrifice. There's an actual sacrifice of the person of Christ. And so the Pope is functioning, when the Pope gives a Mass, the Pope is functioning as the chief priest of the Church. So again, mixing that Judaism with the ancient Roman traditions, and then packaging it all together into this guy who's given this position.
I don't know if you want to go through any of the other. There's a lot of other things that we can go through, but I guess my question for you would be, what should our response be? So we don't have.
There is one more I want to do.
Yeah, sure.
So this is interesting. During the Middle Ages, you have the Pope. The popes essentially the Roman Catholic Church seeks to consolidate power. And they do this by essentially taking land from the bishops.
Yeah, the papal states, right?
The papal states. So up until that point, up until the 10th century, the bishops were marrying. The celibacy of the priesthood actually is passed, and when the priests are then forced to be celibate, they can't hand their lands down to their sons, and so the church actually collects all of that land. What do they do with it? Well, what they do is they essentially create a situation where the Pope becomes sort of the religious head of all of Europe, of all of Catholic Europe. So you have a pope who's the religious head, and then you have a Roman emperor, the Holy Roman Emperor. Charles V is the most famous one because he's chasing Luther.
Well, Charlemagne
being the
begins
this. Yeah. So Charlemagne begins this, the king of the Franks. He takes on this role of emperor, and then you have this Holy Roman Emperor, and then you have the pope, who's the functional religious head of the Roman Empire. Well, then what happens there? Well, that Holy Roman Empire shrinks down, and it's shrunk down a lot. After World War I, you have the fall of the Austrian states. It all comes back down. It falls down into Italy, and now the Vatican is actually an independent country, of which the Pope has political authority. So the Pope is essentially like the president of the Vatican. Yeah. So there's a political and a religious mix together in this guy. He's the prime head of the Vatican. So so again, you have religious stuff, and then you have this very politicized position. The Catholic Church is still the largest landowner on earth. So you have this guy who, from the Vatican, is effectively ruling a huge amount of land on the planet, politically as well. Yeah. Anyway,
so anyway, the question for us as believers, right? How should we respond to this?
Yeah.
Like, do we? Because I think we could be ambivalent, right? Or we can be on one side, or we can be militant against it.
Yeah.
Posting things on YouTube. On X. Instagram. How would you think we should react to this?
Yeah.
Because obviously, what you mentioned, most of these things are just heresies. So how should we respond to it?
So I think that there's a difference between how we respond to the institution, and even people who are fully aware of what the institution is teaching and taking these things onto themselves, and the people themselves. So when it comes to the institution, Catholic Church, I would say we should be aware that this is not a positive thing. The Roman Catholic Church is an evil institution, really, I would say, chaired by Satan, if anyone. As an American guy, the guy who's the new pope, this man has been trained in the Catholic Church. He understands the dogmas of the Catholic Church, and he's affirming of the dogmas of the Catholic Church. And the dogmas of the Catholic Church are heretical. So this is a false religious system which is leading its adherents to hell. So when it comes to this stuff, I think we need to be aware that this is a heresy. Does that mean we need to get on YouTube and Twitter and like throw out like insulting stuff? No, obviously. We don't want to be revilers. We want to be humble, kind, but at the same time, just be aware this is heretical. We need to be careful with it. And not be exciting, like, celebrating the new Pope. They're ringing bells in St. Peter's today, but that's not a good thing. You can ring bells, but it doesn't mean it's a good thing. It's the man is the head of a false religious system. So we need to be aware of that. And then second, when it comes to the people who are Catholics, who are followers, I think we need to have a really tender heart and be willing to have these conversations to help people to see why this system is actually really false, and where the Bible does not support what's happening in Rome right now. There's no biblical authority for a conclave of cardinals to elect the next head of the church based on a vote that is in direct succession to Peter. None of that is in the Bible whatsoever. All of this is completely made up by the church. Now, the church would say we have the right to do this because we actually are the vicars of Christ. I'm the vicar of Christ. I have the right to do this. I can carry this on. We would say, no, that's not the way the Bible is intended to be read or followed. So we want to be really humble with people who are in this false religious system, and hopefully have gospel opportunities to point them to Christ, the true Christ, not the vicar of Christ. So that'd be our home.
That's super helpful. Super helpful. Thank you.
Well, I hope this is helpful for you as well. And obviously, these are interesting times when these sorts of world events happen. But at the same time, we also remember that Jesus is the true head of the church, and that the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. And so we're thankful for Christ, thankful for the church, and we're thankful for you. So if you have any questions on this or any other topic, you can always email us at info@faithbibleoc.org. Thanks so much.